Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Now the AMD FX 8350 still usually sells for anywhere between £85 to £100 second hand. I won this one for just over 50 including postage because it was listed as faulty due to bent pins. Today we'll be seeing if we can fix this problem and then seeing if the CPU actually works. One risk of buying AMD processors with a pin problem is that you can't always be sure if all of said pins are going to be intact, but luckily it seems as though they are with this one. To check this, I actually use my iPhone camera as it has a decent macro focus and can see in more detail up close than I can. With that, my main concern is out of the way. Bending the pins back in place can be done with a razor blade and a little bit of patience. It's important not to push down on any pins, rather go between the lanes with the blade and gently maneuver the gold connectors into the correct upright position. It may take 10 minutes or it may take an hour, possibly longer, but taking your time is key here as you don't want to bend any pins back the other way or snap them off. The razor blade is also good for removing any dry thermal paste between the pins as well. And once you're done, you can check if everything is straightened out by seeing if the CPU drops easily into the motherboard. This one didn't at first, but after a few more adjustments, we were ready to go. The next concern of mine was whether this thing actually worked. After all, the pins could have been bent regardless of whether this chip works or not. We just don't know yet. In the test rig, we have the FX 8350 itself, 16 gigs of RAM and an RX 5500 XT. We won't be doing any proper benchmarking today because my cheap AM3 Plus cooler isn't really adequate. This is more about checking that the processor works. Looks like we're on to a winner here. My preferred method of testing the CPU, or testing any CPU as to whether or not it's working, is to just use it for a few days. I went about my usual business of editing and rendering in DaVinci Resolve, creating thumbnails in Photoshop and just playing a handful of games. As I said before, I didn't set out to conduct any serious benchmarks here. I just wanted to make sure it worked without causing any issues. Now a better cooler would be ideal for the 8350 and it would even benefit from a better graphics card. These are options we'll be exploring in future videos. After using the FX 8350 for a couple of days in place of my Core i5, it seems as though it's working fine, at least at stock speeds. I've had no issues with blue screens or crashes of any other kind, and I hope that we can utilise this chip as part of a budget PC build and as part of an overclocking and comparison video in the near future, because I will be checking how far we can push this thing with better cooling. Now this has been a shorter video than usual, but I thought we may as well make it anyway because it was important to me that we checked out whether or not this thing worked upon its arrival, and I thought why not film the whole thing too. If you enjoyed this one, leave a like on it down below, leave a dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and hopefully I'll see you all in the next one.